part 2 of Evil Clutches. So to create some challenges and goals, we're going to need to bring our remaining objects into the game. So let's start by giving the dragon the ability to breathe fireballs, as dragons often do. So we have the fireball sprite, and we need to create the object. So we're going to click on the object icon, the blue ball. And we're going to call this obj underscore fireball. And we're going to select the fireball sprite. We now need to think about how we want the fireballs to behave. So when the dragon creates a fireball, we want to move it across the screen toward the boss and get destroyed when it reaches the other side of the screen. Click OK there. So we need to add the object fireballs events and actions. I just double click to reopen that. We're going to click the add event button down here at the bottom, and we're going to choose the create event, and we're going to click the move fixed over. We're going to choose the right arrow to indicate the direction. So right arrow, and we're going to set the speed to 32 because we want the fireballs to fly fast. All right, and then we're going to click OK. And we're going to click the Add Event button again. We're going to select Other Events. And we're going to pick Outside Room. Over in the Actions tab with Outside Room selected, we're going to choose the Main 1 tab over on the right. And we're going to choose Destroy this instance. So it's that recycled trash can. Destroy this instance. In the action form that pops up, all you have to do is click OK. All right. And then click OK to close the Fireball Object Properties list. So we're just going to click OK right there. Now we need to tell the dragon object to create instances of the fireball object. We have one fireball, but we need to create multiple instances when the player presses the space bar. We do this in a similar way to the events that make the dragon move, but this time using a key press event rather than a keyboard event. Keyboard events happen as long as the player continues to hold down the key, but key press events happen only once when the key is first pressed. So to create a key press event for the dragon object, we're going to double click the dragon object over under objects. And this is going to bring back the object properties form for the dragon object. We're going to click Add Event, and we're going to select the key press event and choose Space. And then that is selected. We're going to choose the Main 1 tab over on the right. And we're going to include the Create Instance action in the Actions list. The Create Instance action is this top left light bulb. We're going to drag it over. In the action form that appears, we need to specify which type of instance to create and where on the screen it should be created. So we're going to select the fireball object from the menu. So we're going to select Object Fireball. And we're going to enter a value of 100 into X. It's the X-axis. And we're going to enter 10 into the Y-axis. And we want to select the relative checkbox. And then we're going to click OK to close the action form and click OK again to close the properties form. One little thing I want to point out about that relative checkbox is the reason we check that is we want to make the fireball appear relative to the position of the dragon. So we don't want it to appear just randomly anywhere. It needs to appear as if it's coming out of the dragon's mouth. Also, one more thing about this form, the X and Y coordinates. The X and Y values you entered are screen coordinates, which are used to indicate the position on the game screen. So screen coordinates are measured by pixels, the tiny little squares that make up the monitor display. So X values are the number horizontally, and Y values indicate the number of pixels vertically. So we need to select relative option because the fireball needs to be created on the screen in front of the dragon. In other words, relative to the dragon's position, like I said earlier. But the dragon's position, it might be different on your screen. So you might have to kind of fiddle around with these X and Y coordinates so it'll appear as if it's coming out of the dragon's mouth. So right where the dragon's mouth appears there is an X and a Y coordinate. And that is where the fireball comes out. So let me show you what happens. I kind of nailed it with the coordinates. I'm going to test mine and show you what happens when I press the space bar. It comes out of the dragon's mouth pretty well. It's not doing anything yet, but every time I press the space bar, the fireballs are coming out. So that worked pretty well. All right, now we need to move on to the demon object. It's going to work in the same way as the fireball, except that the demons are going to fly from right to left and are created by the boss. Also, to make the demons a bit more interesting, we'll start some moving diagonally as well as horizontally. Those that head diagonally for the top or bottom of the screen will need to reverse their vertical direction when they intersect with the boundary, like the boss object does. We'll also need to destroy demons when they go outside of the room, like the fireball. Next, we provide the steps. I'm going to provide the steps that you need to do all of this. So creating the demon object, you're going to click on the blue ball and you're going to call it obj demon, obj underscore demon. And you're going to give it the demon sprite. So click on the little square there, choose sprite demon, and then we're going to click add a create event. Well, first click OK. And then, oh my goodness, let me go back to the demon. I'm going to double click on the object demon. Sorry about that. And I've got no events, no actions. I'm going to click add event, add a create event. And I'm going to drag the move fixed icon onto the screen. And I'm going to select all three left pointing direction arrows. So I'm going to select top left, left, bottom left, and I'm going to set the speed to 12. Selecting more than one direction causes GameMaker to randomly choose between them when an instance is created. So we're going to also add an intersect boundary event from the other events. So let me click OK there. We're going to add event, and we're going to click other, and we're going to click intersect boundary. And we're going to add an outside, and we're going to include the reverse vertical action. So again, in the Move tab, here's the reverse vertical. We don't need to do anything here, so we click OK. And we're going to add an outside room event, also in the other events category. So click Add Event, Other, and we're going to choose outside room. And with that selected, you want to select destroy this instance. So we're going to click on the main tab, main 1 tab, and choose that recycle can. That's the destroy instance action. And then click OK. So what we just created is a scenario where the demons will now bounce back and forth between the top and bottom of the screen. But we also need them to react to collisions with other instances. For this, we're going to use a collision event, which happens when 2 sprites of different objects overlap on the screen. The first collision event we need is for when the demon collides with the fireball. This event should destroy the demon and reward the player by increasing their score. There are a number of different actions dealing with scores, health, and lives in the Score Actions tab. As soon as the score changes, it will automatically be displayed in the game window caption. So first we need to add an event to the demon object for colliding with the fireball. So we're in the demon object window here. We're going to click Add Event, and we're going to choose the collision event. And we want to select the fireball object. So for the action here, make sure that's selected. We're going to choose Destroy this instance in the main 1 tab. So that was the main 1 tab, Destroy this instance. So just click OK there. Also include a set score action from the Score tab. So click on Score, and we're going to set score. That's the top left. We're going to drag it over, and we are going to enter a value of 100 in the set score action form. And we want to click Relative. This property makes the action set the score relative to the current score. So 100 will be added to the score rather than setting the score to 100. If a demon collides with a dragon, then the game is over. When this happens, we want to bring up a high score table. When appropriate, let the player enter their name. After showing the high score table, we want to restart the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an event to the demon object for colliding we're going to click OK there. We're going to next add an event to the demon object for colliding with the dragon. So we're going to keep the demon object, we're going to keep it open here. We're going to add a collision event. So add another collision event. And we're going to collide it with the dragon object dragon. Okay, we're just adding on here. And for the action, we're going to choose the Show High Score from the Score tab. So it's in the Score tab, and it's the Show High Score 1, 2, 3 button there. And we'll just keep the default settings here. So we'll just click OK. And we're also going to include a Restart Game action from the Main 2 tab. So click on Main 2, and we're going to click the double green arrows to restart the game. This action has no properties, so it just plops there. The object properties form for the demon should now look like you see on my screen here. And we're done with this object for now, so we're going to click OK. And that's it. Okay, that's it for the demon, but we still need the boss to create instances of the demon in the first place. However, we don't want the demons to appear at regular intervals because this would make the game too easy. Instead, we want there to be a random chance that a demon is created at each step of the game. A step is essentially just a short period of time in which everything on the screen moves a very small distance. There are normally 30 steps in every second, so we only need there to be a very small chance that a demon is created in each step. So we achieve this by using a test chance action, a new action for you all, which acts like throwing a die with many sides. In each step, we throw the die, but only one side will trigger the chance action and create a demon. In this way, we create a steady but unpredictable flow of demons. So we are going to add a step event to the boss object. So we're going to open the boss object by double-clicking on it. And we're going to click an add event. And we're going to choose a step event. And choose step again. And then we're going to choose the test chance action from the control tab. So over on control, this is the die here. It's called the test chance. We're going to drag that over. Set the sides of the die to 50 in the action properties. We want 50 sides. And then also include, we're going to click OK there. Also include the create instance action in the actions list for the event. So back up to main 1. We're going to drag the light bulb over and set the properties to create a demon object. So we're going to, where it says object, we're going to choose demon. And we're going to make it relative so that the demon is created relative to the boss's position. So we're going to go ahead and click OK there, and your screen should look like mine at this point. The test chance action is an example of a conditional action. Conditional actions control the action that immediately follows them so that it is only performed if some conditions are met, or if some condition is met. So in the case of the create instance action, in this case, the create instance action is only performed if the test chance action rolls a 1 using a 50-sided die. Otherwise, it's skipped. Okay, let's run the game and test it. So we're going to save the game. We're going to run it and test it. Pretty good. We're getting there. So you saw that when I ran it, demons started appearing, and you can shoot them with your fireballs to rack up your score in the window caption. So when you eventually get hit by a demon, which I did, you saw the high score table displayed and the game restarts. Okay, one more itty bitty thing. We're going to create the baby dragon object. So right now our game has 2 goals, shooting demons and staying alive. However, it's not much fun to play as it's far too easy to provide any real challenge. So to increase the challenge, we're going to occasionally throw in a baby dragon along with the demons. If the player shoots a baby dragon, they will lose 300 points. But if they rescue one, they will gain 500 points. This will mean that the player will have to be much more careful about when they shoot, thereby increasing the challenge of the game. So we're going to create a new object. We're going to go back to our object menu up here, click the blue ball, and we're going to call this obj underscore baby. And we're going to choose the baby dragon, sprite baby. And we're going to add a create event. So we're going to click add event, create. We're going to choose the move fixed action. So drag that over and set it to move left with a speed of 8. Right? Left with a speed of 8, slower than the demons to make life a little harder. And then we're going to add so click OK there. We're going to add an outside room event in the other events. So we're going to click add event. We're going to click other. And it's going to be the outside room. and we're going to destroy instance. So back to the main one tab, this recycle box, then we're gonna drag it over, and we don't need to change anything there, just select OK. And we need to add a collision event with the fireball object and include a destroy instance action with that as well. So we're going to click add event, collision, and we want it to collide with the fireball. So we're going to select fireball object. We're going to drag over destroy this instance, and we're going to click OK. We need to set a few more here. We also are going to choose a set score action in the collision event with a value of -300. So with the object, we also want to select, include a set score action with the collision event. So like I said, we are going to keep the object fireball selected, and we are going to choose, click the score tab, drag the set score, and we're going to create a new score of a -300, and we're going to make it relative. This will subtract 300 points from the player's score. All right, now we're going to add a collision event with the dragon object. So add event, collision, object dragon. And we need to destroy this instance action. We need to put a destroy this instance in the actions box. So it's in the main one tab, drag the destroy this instance over, click OK. We also need to include a set score action with a value of 500. So down to the score tab, move over, set this score, and we're going to say 500, and we're going to select relative and click OK. This will add 500 points to the player's score. The baby dragon object should now look like what you see on my screen. All right, click OK. Now we need to make the boss, this is the last thing for this part, we need to make the boss randomly release baby dragons as well as demons. This is exactly the same as for the demons, except we will use the value of 100 for the die so that they're created less often. So reopen the boss object. So double click on the object boss in the properties menu there. Click on the existing step event. So make sure step event is selected to view its actions. Include another test chance action in the step event. So go down to control, the control tab, drag another one over, set the sides of the die to be 100, and click OK. And then include the create instance action below the new test chance action in the actions list. So we're going to go back up to main one, drag this under, and we're going to set the properties to create a baby object. And set it to relative and click OK. So this completes the second phase of our game. All gameplay elements are now in place. We're going to save the game, and we're going to carefully test it to make sure it works correctly. And let's see how it goes. So we're going to click, and then I'm going to drag this over. It's going to get me right away. And I'm not playing it correctly because there's too much going on. I need to get the fireballs moving. Ooh, I'm doing pretty well here. Yeah, it's working pretty well. Sweet. Done with part 2.